Hello and welcome to another part of this chapter, probability. In this part, we are going to discuss about joint or compound experiment. Let us first consider two random experiments, E1 and E2, with the sample space S1 and S2 respectively. As we know that the number of outcomes corresponding to a random experiment may be finite or infinite. So here we have assumed that A1, A2, A3, these are the outcomes corresponding to the random experiment E1, and B1, B2, B3, these are outcomes corresponding to the random experiment E2. So E1 and E2, these two are two random experiments. Now suppose we are performing these two random experiments one after another. As for example, suppose E1 is performed first and then E2. This experiment is called the joint or compound experiment of E1 and E2. If we perform E1 first and then E2, that means if we perform this compound experiment, then any outcome corresponding to this compound experiment is of the form of order pair. So we can write here the sample space corresponding to this compound experiment. If we perform E1 first and then E2, then the sample space corresponding to this joint experiment is of the form like this. We denote it by S bar, and each outcome is an order pair AI, Bj, where AI belongs to the sample space corresponding to the random experiment E1, and Bj, this belongs to S2, which is the sample space corresponding to the random experiment E2. Actually, this sample space is nothing but the Cartesian product of S1 and S2. So we can denote this sample space by S1 cross S2. Now if we perform E2 first and then E1, then the sample space corresponding to this joint experiment, we denote this by S double bar, and this is again an order pair Bj, Ai, where Ai belongs to S1 and Bj belongs to S2. So similarly, this sample space is again a Cartesian product of S2 and S1. So we shall write here the sample space is nothing but S2 cross S1. We consider one example. Let E1 be the random experiment of throwing a fair die and E2 be the random experiment of throwing an unbiased coin. Then the sample space corresponding to E1, which I denoted by S1, and we know that these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. There are 6 outcomes, and the sample space S2 corresponding to E2, there is only 2 outcomes, head and tail, H and T. Now if we consider the joint experiment of performing the random experiment E1 first and then E2, so the sample space corresponding to this joint experiment is denoted by S1 cross S2, and we know that the sample space will be of the form of order pair, and it should be 1, H, 2, H, etc. 1, T, 2, T. So there will be 12 outcomes. Similarly, if we perform the experiment E2 first and then E1, so the sample space in that case should be S2 cross S1, and it will be of the form H, 1, T, 1, H, 2, T, 2. So there will be again 12 outcomes. So these are examples of compound or joint experiments. Next we consider one more example. Suppose a fair coin is tossed. Then there are 2 outcomes, H and T. Now if we perform this experiment 2 times, one after another, then the sample space corresponding to this compound experiment is denoted by S cross S, or we call it S square, and these are the 4 outcomes. Now if we perform this experiment n times, then the sample space of the compound experiment will be Sn or S cross S up to n times, and then each outcome of this sample space is n tuples. Next, we consider one important definition, that is independent trials. Suppose a random experiment E is repeated a number of times under the identical conditions. Then these experiments are called independent trials, because in this case the result of one experiment is not dependent on the others. So in this case the experiment or trials are independent of each other. Next, we consider one particular case that the sample space consists of only two outcomes. One is called success and another one is called failure. We shall denote success by small s and failure by small f. So we assume that a random experiment has only two outcomes. The sample space S contains only two elements, S and F. Now if we perform this experiment a number of times, then we shall get a sequence of independent trials. Next definition is Bernoulli trials. Now one thing to note here, that we have assumed that there is a random experiment which has only two outcomes, success and failure. So if we define the probability of success as small p, then probability of failure must be 1 minus p, and sometimes this is denoted by q. So here we assume that the probability of success is small p and probability of failure is small q, such that p plus q equal to 1. So next we define Bernoulli trials. Suppose capital E be a random experiment which contains only two outcomes. So the sample space S contains only two outcomes, success and failure. So if this random experiment is repeated a number of times under identical conditions, then we shall get a sequence of independent trials, and this sequence of independent trials is called Bernoulli trial if the probability of success remains constant for each and every experiment. That means if we repeat this experiment E, suppose n times, then the sample space corresponding to the compound experiment or joint experiment will be Sn. That means the probability of success, if remains constant for each of these n trials, then this trial is called Bernoulli trial. Now one thing to note, that if probability of success remains constant, then obviously the probability of failure will also remain constant. Now we give one example. Suppose E be the random experiment that we are tossing a coin. So sample space contains only two outcomes, H and T. Now one of them is success and another one is failure. You can call head as success, tail as failure, or you can call tail as success, head as failure. Now we know that if a fair coin is tossed, then the probability of head and tail both are equal to half. So P equal to Q equal to half here. Now if the coin is fair and if we toss this coin n times under almost identical conditions, then we know that the probability of head will remain half or constant throughout this experiment. In this case, we can call that this sequence of trial is an example of Bernoulli trial. Remember that in Bernoulli trials, the probability of success remains constant for each and every experiment. Now one obvious question is that what will happen if the probability of success does not remain constant for all the experiments? If the probability of success varies, then the trials are called Poisson trials. So in Poisson trials, the probability of success may vary. So let E be the random experiment which has only two outcomes, success and failure. If this experiment is repeated n number of times, then it is called Poisson trials if the probability of success does not remain constant. That means, suppose P1 be the probability of success for the first experiment, P2 be the probability of success for the second experiment, and so on. So that means if the probability of success remains constant for all the experiments, then it is called Bernoulli trials, otherwise it is called Poisson trials. The next article is the binomial law. Suppose we have a random experiment which has only two outcomes, success and failure, and we assume that probability of success is small p and probability of failure is q, that is 1 minus p. Now, so we have a random experiment E which has only two outcomes. So the sample space consists of the two outcomes S and F, and we further assume that probability of success is small p and probability of failure is q, that means 1 minus p. Now suppose the experiment E is repeated n number of times under identical conditions, and further assume that the probability of success p remains constant for all the experiments. That means we are considering Bernoulli trials. Now the question is, if this experiment E is repeated n number of times, then what is the probability that out of this n number of times success will happen exactly I times and remaining n minus I times failure will happen? So this is the question, that a random experiment is repeated n number of times with probability of success p and probability of failure q, and if this experiment is repeated n number of times, then what is the probability that out of this n times exactly I times success will happen? So we shall find this probability. We shall prove that the probability of exactly I times of success out of this n trials is equal to NCI p to the power I q to the power n minus I, where q is equal to 1 minus p and I varies from 0 to n. Because the number of experiment is n times, so maximum number of success we can find is n and minimum number of success is obviously 0. So we have to prove this formula. So we start the proof. Now it is given that the random experiment E has only two outcomes, success and failure, with probability of success P and probability of failure Q. Now it is repeated n number of times. So we shall repeat this experiment n number of times and we shall write the result in a sequence. Now the experiment is repeated n number of times, and for each of these n number of times we shall write the outcomes here. So for the first trial, the outcomes may be success or failure. We do not exactly know the outcome. It may be success or failure. So we assume that in the first time we have got the success. For the second time, suppose we have got the failure. In the third time we have got the failure, and continuing in this process, finally in the nth time we have got a success. And it is given that out of this n trials, exactly I number of success and remaining n minus I number of failures will happen. So in this sequence there are exactly I number of success and n minus I number of failures. So let us find the probability of this event. So probability of this event should be equal to, in the first time we have obtained success. So what is the probability of success? That is P. So it is P. And for the second trial we have got failure. So in the second trial we have got failure, and what is the probability of failure? That is Q. So P dot Q. And for the third trial we have got failure. So what is the probability of failure? It is Q. And continue in this process, in the final trial we have got success. and probability of success is P. So this is the probability of this event. In this event we have got exactly I number of success and n minus I number of failure. So if we multiply all these quantities, we shall have P to the power I, Q to the power n minus I. Because in this sequence exactly I number of success, that means there are exactly I number of P's and remaining n minus I number of Q's there. So probability of this event is P to the power I, Q to the power n minus I. Now remember that in this event we have considered exactly I number of success and remaining n minus I number of failures. The permutations of success and failure are arbitrary. Now we are considering one more event where the number of success will be again I and number of failure will be n minus I, but and the sequence of success and failures will be altered. So if we make one more permutations of success and failure, then again we shall have the probability of that event is equal to P to the power I and Q to the power n minus I. Because if we consider another permutations, then the positions of success and failures will be changed, but the number of success and number of failures will be unchanged. Therefore in that case also the probability of that event should be P to the power I, Q to the power n minus I. Now the question is, how many permutations are possible? We find that there are n number of places, that means n number of trials, out of which I number of success will happen. So that means the number of permutation is nothing but the number of ways we can select I number of places out of this n number of places. So total number of permutations or event, total number of events like this, it should be the number of ways we can select this I number of success from the n number of trials. That means the number of ways we can select I number of places out of this n number of places. And from the law of permutation we know that this is equal to NCI. So there are exactly NCI number of events there, where there are exactly I number of success and n minus I number of failures. And for each permutation, the probability of that event is P to the power I into Q to the power n minus I. So now what is the required probability of getting exactly I number of success? Now we have total this number of events, and for each event the probability is P to the power I into Q to the power n minus I. Therefore the required probability that out of this n number of trials we shall get exactly I number of success is equal to NCI multiplied by this probability, that is P to the power I, Q to the power n minus I, where P is the probability of success, Q is the probability of failure, n is the number of trial, I is the number of success, and we know that number of success can vary from 0 to up to n. So this law is called the binomial law. So this is the required probability that out of this n trials exactly I number of success will happen. So this is the formula of binomial law. That completes this part. In the next part we shall consider Poisson law. So until then, thanks for watching.